Welcome back to a Shot of Weeb episode. Fucker. I'm using that. Episode 28.
That's fine. That's fine.
A Shot of Weeb. This week was my choice. For the love of Pete, stop dying. We got a show to do.
Not my fault.
A Shot of Weeb where we drink. We drink the yes, and then anime talk happens. Mm-hmm.
That's what
so
we're
this
going
week
with?
Was my choice.
We drink.
I don't know where any of that went.
Or came from, or like was at any point. The
entire intro got full derailed.
Oh man.
This week was my choice.
Mm-hmm.
After we watched a dual episode that was basically, wait. Last week was your choice.
Last week was my choice. Yes.
Maybe I should start over. Holy crap. Okay. Actual progress this time. This one was my choice. I kind of wound up in a bit of a tight spot. I had no idea what to have us watch this time because the show I'd picked out I realized would work better for next week. Mm-hmm. So I had to last second flip through my my Mal page and look at stuff that I had on my list that I said I was going to go get to, and then I never did. And I found one that I looked at, and I'm like, I do not remember ever hearing about this show, let alone adding it to my list. So I was like, let's watch that.
Yeah, I'm glad you listened to me.
That is what brought us...
You know?
What was that?
I'm glad you listened to me. You know, when I'm giving you recommendations.
I don't.
Because I'm the reason that's on your list.
So you say. I don't remember it, therefore there's no proof. And that's what brought us to watching ReLIFE. I'm over here acting like this was a big surprise to the audience, but they clicked on the episode. They know what the title is.
Yeah, we said it at the end of the last episode, too, if they watched that. So
yeah. We watched ReLIFE, which is the story. I don't need to say what the story is. We're going to talk about the story. It came out in 2016.
Yep.
According to AniList, an average and mean score of 78%. So apparently this was pretty decently liked a few years ago.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't really heard any major like negatives about it, honestly. You know, like I haven't seen any like ardent fans, people that like just love this show, like this is their show, you know. But like, mm-hmm. I've never seen anybody hate this show. So yeah, I'd say it's pretty well liked.
Fair enough. Had you seen this one prior?
Yes.
Okay.
I watched it when it came out.
What was your... Is there, like, any preface for, like, your interaction with the show that you might want to mention? Or was it just something you watched and thought, okay, that's a show?
I remember, like, when
Or would that be spoiling, like, your final thoughts?
No, I won't talk about any of that. But, like, for some reason, I feel like there was... Like, it had a weird release schedule. Because this is an ONA. So it's an original net animation. So it was released online, like exclusively. Like it never came out on TVs, as far as I know.
Okay.
So I think, if I remember correctly, it had some like weird release schedule, or maybe the subgroup that I was using just was like had a weird release schedule, something like that. I don't know, but I do remember that I think it was after the first couple episodes, I just decided to wait until the whole thing was out, and then just binge it all. Which was, I think, was a good decision.
Okay.
You know, there's a lot going on in this show, and if I were to watch it weekly, I think I would forget things. You know.
Mm-hmm. There's a show that I actually did that to once that you know of, where it had a weird release schedule, so I waited till it was all out.
Yep.
Always got to draw comparisons because just got to get on your nerves. It's the only way. I feel relevant.
All right, buddy. Look, you finish.
Speaking
Death Note,
of,
then we'll talk.
We forgot something very important.
Yeah.
This is a Shot of Weeb, the show where we drink when we talk about anime.
Yep.
And as per normal, we already have a little bit before starting, but there's the nominal shot at the start of a segment that we haven't done yet. Right. So I'm going to get my soda bottle ready because I once again do not have small bottles, so I'm going to be chugging straight from the 2-liter like a fucking animal.
You can say gremlin. It's okay.
Nah, I needed more intensity this time.
Then Gremlin?
Kompai, friend.
Kompai.
They said konpai in the show, and I was like, hey, I know that phrase.
Oh, man. Yeah, they do say it in the show. They say it in a lot of shows.
I think this is only like the second one I've heard it in. There was one other we did for the show that I know it was said in.
Yeah. I don't remember
but
which
they
one
said
it
it.
was.
They said it a little different. They said freaking kanpai. Is it kanpai or konpai? I don't know.
Well, it is ka. So it's like kampai. But like, just the way I don't know. I say it. Maybe like my pronunciation isn't exactly right. I just say like kampai. So I'm still like saying the the ka. Because it's not konpai. But I just like I do like a lower a. I don't know how to explain speech and dialectics. I am 3 shots in. I don't know what do you want from me?
I'm kind of freaking stupid because I thought I've this entire time going off of what you initially told me, thought it was konpai. I've been saying konpai, which is not right.
Konpai.
Because I also literally just looked it up, and you're right. It's kanpai. Literally, empty the cup.
Yeah.
It's a Japanese drink.
A lot of times just like translated as cheers or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's what it basically is.
That's the cultural equivalent.
Right, exactly. So now that we've got that out of the way, where do you want to start?
You may... Oh, I'm sorry. I need to take the Google tab I opened to look it up.
Okay.
The easiest way to say cheers in Japanese is with an enthusiastic kanpai. Sounds like ganpai. You may hear banzai shouted at some point, but leave that for some frenzied moment later.
Yeah, nice.
The way that's written gives me a chuckle.
Yeah, it is a weird way to put it, but I get what they mean. Yeah. I understand it, but yeah, it's weird. So yeah,
I didn't actually know that was Japanese.
Yep. So where do you want to start? Where are we starting? This is your choice.
Do we want to do characters, or do we want to just like introduce those as they like happen? Because I feel like everyone gets kind of thrown into a pot at the very beginning of the episode. We should probably do characters.
Okay.
Who's our main cast? Let's just take a person, briefly describe them, just alternate back and forth. I'll let you pick your first person to introduce.
All right. Well, we've got this guy. His name is Arata Kaizaki. He's the main character.
He is anime guy.
He's a NEET, which is if you don't know, that stands for not in education, employment, or training. But like he's not actually a NEET because he has a part-time job, but he is like I think he's described as a half hikikomori or a half shut-in. It's because when he's not at work, he will just shut himself in his house. His parents, he's turning 28, and his parents said, we're not going to support you anymore. You need to get yourself another job, because he had a job, and then he quit that job 3 months in, which is why he became a hikikomori, because there are some circumstances.
That like dooms your resume, apparently.
Yeah, after 3 months, if you leave a job after 3 months, yeah, it will, because employers think like you're not willing to stick with them for a while or something. I don't know. But so he's doing that, and then he gets approached by this guy on the street, and he was like, hey, you want to go back in time? But not actually back in time. And so he takes a pill and he becomes a high schooler again, and he goes to high school again, but like not like back in time, because it's like this whole rehabilitation program, I think, for like hikikomoris and NEETs and stuff, to help reintegrate them into society, where they'll have like a better like chance at getting a job, and like try to like come to terms with why they became a shut-in in the first place, kind of deal. And so he's he's part of this experiment, and he's offered they told him we'll pay for your living expenses for a year, and then we'll get you a job offer at the end of the thing. If you do well, yeah, we'll get you a job offer. And so he's he's kind of going all in for it.
Okay, so in that case, I suppose the obvious follow-up is to talk about the fella he meets. Before I do that, I want to say real quick, I meant to say this at the very beginning. If we could, there is a very big, in my opinion, plot twist at the end of the final episode. I would like to not mention that before we get to it. I want to keep that for the end.
Okay, well then there's one other character that we probably shouldn't talk about it too in depth either.
That's fair.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
I guess.
We'll get
yeah,
to
that's fair. I get what you're getting at.
But you're good. Talk about the man.
Yeah, Rio, something. Yoke. Is a little bit of a troublemaker, but he's the business fella, basically, who approaches Kaizaki and is like, hey, try our drugs, even though he's drunk and can't sign official forms properly, but that's beside the point, I guess.
Well, he doesn't sign the form until the next day.
Well, he took the pill when he was drunk, though, and that's hard to reverse.
But he didn't... it's not.
And I suppose it should be said, though, that he is physical appearance is high schooler. Kaizaki, his physical appearance becomes high schooler, but his actual physical age has not changed, so he's still
he's still
stiff
28,
and he'll still hurt himself if he tries to do too much.
He's still an old geezer, a 28-year-old man.
28. I'm 5 years away from that.
I can't wait.
4 years from now, I'm an old geezer. I can't talk about anime anymore. I'll be too old.
I don't know about that one, Chief.
I don't know. Actually, I'll be completely honest. Talking about anime at 23 is a little weird feeling.
Okay.
I don't know. I like it, but I feel like there's this that's for teenagers kind of stigma. 15, it's just a cartoon.
Well, what do you want me to watch to put on the TV when I'm babysitting your kids, huh? Death Note, Tokyo Ghoul, or Attack on Titan? Haha. Oh man, I was constantly cringing during that whole thing. I'm my eyes are watering from all that cringe. Oh
wait, was
man,
that a thing?
Yeah, that was
what?
that was
what
an
this?
old meme that used to go around. Oh, animes for kids. Well, what do you want me to put on when I'm babysitting your 5-year-old?
Oh my! Yeah. I had this conversation with my dad recently, and there's a very slim chance he'll hear this on the podcast. Ooh. But I was getting frustrated because he's having this conversation. And he's just like, "Yeah, well, I mean, look, it's anime. I can't expect that much from it. It's just a cartoon." And I'm dying inside hearing him say this.
Yeah, even my dad, who doesn't watch animation, he's like, "Aight, dog, you do whatever."
Meanwhile, he's just started Yu-Gi-Oh! And apparently loves it. So I'm hoping to get him to watch an actual good show. I recommended Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood to him.
5Ds, Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds.
I think he's watching the original.
Okay, well that one's good too, but 5Ds is...
Is that the motorcycle one? Is that the...
That's right,
one?
Card games on motorcycles. Let's go, dude. Let's go.
So Ryoyoke is, he's what's called a support. And the support of the ReLIFE Foundation is in class alongside the subject, also appears as a high schooler, and is basically just there to keep tabs on them and guide them a little bit, but not too much.
Yeah.
And Yoke is also a bit of a troublemaker. He likes to... If there's conflict or drama arousing, he's probably off to the side chuckling about it.
Yeah, that's true.
He just likes to see things go down. Yeah. That's just his thing. But he's a good dude. He's making sure Kazuki follows the right path.
Yeah. Yeah.
More or less.
But he's not forcing anything because they're not allowed to do that.
That'd be against the code. And that's actually what he got in trouble for the first time, as we later find out.
Yep.
Alrighty. Next character, your choice. Go for it.
Alright, well, I'll talk about pretty much the first character he meets in class, or Kazuki meets in class, which was Kazuomi Oga. He sits right in front of Kazuki. He's this really cool dude. He's got blonde hair. He's got a single ear piercing. And he's really smart. He's gets really good grades. And he's just a bro. I don't know, exactly how to describe him, but he's just such a chill guy. You know what I mean?
He is book smart, and he is super fucking dense.
Yeah, very dense and not physically strong.
2 meters.
Very very physically weak. I'll just go ahead and say it. He is weak, but like, yeah, he's like a good friend, though, and like a super outgoing and stuff. And yeah, he just seems like a chill guy, you know.
Yeah, no, I feel like you could get a good hangout with him.
Yeah.
I think the next person that he's really introduced to is Reina Karyu. In my notes, I kept writing it down as Kairu instead of Karyu.
Yeah, it's Karyu.
So I feel a little dumb.
Yeah.
But yeah, Karyu is she's like slightly combative, I think might be the word. Like very like cold, but is also just like a good person under that, I think is the best way to put it. Like,
Well,
she'll like,
I mean, I know the word for it.
what?
It's tsundere. That is the word for it. She is a tsundere.
You know, that's not the vibe I get, but I suppose that's technically correct, isn't it?
It is 100%. She is a tsundere. Yeah.
She's not the, I feel like she's not the, like, traditional one, though. Like, it feels a little bit different to me. Or am I just dumb?
What do you mean by a little different?
I don't know, because, like, I mean, she acts that way to everybody, not just, like, to, like, a specific person. Like, I feel like the general term for tsundere, like, seems to fall under, like, a person who's, like, single-mindedly just, like, wants to be with a specific person, but is just awful to them at all times instead.
Well, she's not, like, single-mindedly, but, like, she treats everybody that she likes that way. Like, including her friends and stuff.
I suppose that's
like, she is
correct, yeah.
she is definitely a tsundere. Like, I think all of the at least female characters will fall into a dere category, and I think I might be able to fit at least the lead 3, and I think I can fit them in. And if I'm wrong, though, you can tell me, and you know,
like I'm gonna know if you're wrong.
Or if you're watching this and you think I'm wrong, you can tell me in the comments too.
Write an essay in the comments, please. Last time someone wrote an essay in the comments, we geeked about it for weeks.
Oh yeah, it was great. Please do that. Yeah. Yeah, but continue.
Yeah,
continue.
no, that's Karyu. So I suppose I'm just gonna pass it off. I don't have much else to say about her right now.
Okay.
Not at start, at least.
Well, I want to talk about Chizuru Hishiro.
Arguably the other main character.
Yeah.
Not even arguably, just the other main character.
Kind of. I don't know. Like, she definitely does have a bit more of, like, a support role than Kaizaki, I think. But, yeah, no, she's, like, definitely, like, one of the main characters. One of the main cast, especially. Like,
She's
like,
second billing, I feel like.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I think so. I would agree with that, yeah. But she's, like, super reserved and shy and awkward, and she's very book smart, but she is even more dense than Ooga, which is insane.
To the point where if she doesn't remember someone's name, she'll just say the only thing you remember about him. For example, after Arata or Kazaki Sari gets caught with cigarettes and bad grades, is just like, oh, you're the stupid cigarette man.
Yeah, basically.
And is surprised when he's not happy being called that.
And I think I would classify her under the Dandere type.
Explain for the dumb people in the crowd like myself.
Okay, so Dandere... No, not Dandere. Kudere. Sorry, it's Kudere. So Kudere are very, like, they have, like, a stone, like, face. I'm trying to think of any that from a show that you would have seen. Like, the one that I always think of is Kanade from Angel Beats.
Haven't seen it.
Angel.
I want to.
Yeah, it's very good. Very good. Highly recommend it. But she is 100% a kudere. But I think Hishiro, as the show goes on, breaks out of that a bit more than a typical, like, kudere. But I still think she would kind of be classified in that, where she's very, like, it's not even like she's reserved. She just doesn't know how to function. I'm trying to put it as nicely as possible. But like you understand, right? Like social situations are not her forte.
All right. One more person is mentioned like in the main cast in like Kaizaki's class, and that is Onoya.
Yep.
She is also a transfer student.
Yeah.
Because Kazaki announces himself as a transfer student, and An is also like, I also just transferred here, and she is equally dumb at the beginning, but unlike Kazaki, she's able to get out of that.
Yeah.
She's very energetic, very goofball.
Mm-hmm.
Her and Kazaki get up to mischief together at times, and it is adorable.
Yeah. I say I would, if I had to like classify her, I would probably say like a dede would be the most, which is
that's just the like airhead, isn't it?
Well, it doesn't have to be an airhead. It's just like the really like lovey-dovey one kind of.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So it's like the soon and tsundere is like the part that's like standoffish and like, you know, kind of aggressive, and the dede is the part that's like, you know, the like the soft caramel center, if you will.
Okay.
And so Onoya is only caramel, if that analogy works.
Definitely.
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and kidnap the last one, because I feel like Inukai and Asaji are like definitely side cast and don't really need super delved into.
Yeah.
But I feel like it would be a good idea to go ahead and mention Honoka, even though she doesn't really appear till later.
Okay.
Honoka is the captain of the volleyball team. She's really freaking good at sports and is Karyu's like best friend.
Yeah.
I think that's all the setup she needs, but I wanted to at least mention that ahead of time because she does have a pretty sizable role compared to the other like actual side cast.
Yeah, that is true. Like there is kind of an arc centered around her for the show. Yeah,
something
for sure.
Something like what, like 8 to 10 or something like that.
Yeah, it's around there. Yeah. But yeah, so I guess like the only other really character that I wanted to mention.
Was there someone else?
There was somebody else I wanted to mention. Just because I thought they were fun.
Okay.
It's their homeroom teacher.
Absolutely, please do.
Okay, yeah. So it's Kokoro Matsu. She's the PE teacher and the girls volleyball coach. But oh man, she's so fun. And like, but like
she really is.
She is. She's 23, I think, or 25.
It's 25 is what I'm wanting to say.
Okay. I was in between those.
She's younger than Kaizaki.
Yeah, she's younger than Kaizaki. But like she has. Not only is she just like a really fun, like teacher, like that you'd love to have, but it's one of those teachers that will actually like do their job and be fun. Those were always like my favorite teachers, like back in high school, right? Like when I like in the moment, you know, like my favorite teacher was like back in middle school. We had this English teacher we only watched movies in her class. That's all we did. It was awful. But like during the time, I was like, "Oh, this is sick, dude. We're just watching movies every day. This is awesome," you know. But now I'm like, man, that was bad. But like the teachers I liked the most, like I actually learned stuff from them, and they were super chill, and like that's like the best combination, I think. And she really has that that personality about her too.
Sensei also has like the roasts. Because she has like a little bit of a rivalry with a different PE teacher, the boys volleyball coach. And I specifically remember there's one scene in like the teacher's office where she's like, "Oh boy, I hope the girls volleyball team will be able to do well in their championship or whatever." Yeah. And the boys coach is like, "Yeah, I hope the same for the boys team. It's going to be pretty rough." And she's just like, yeah, you guys suck.
Yeah, she just comes out and says it. Oh man, it's so good.
It was so good.
It was great. Oh man. Yeah.
Oh boy. So interesting enough, we've already pretty much talked about episode 1 when we described Kaizaki and Yoke. That's like all episode 1 is establishing that
the premise.
Kaizaki's a failure.
Yeah, it's establishing the premise and the two, and like Kaizaki and Yoake, kind of a little bit of Yoake, not like a ton, but like just who he is.
Mostly Kaizaki.
Yeah, it's mostly about Kaizaki.
And then we see like his like first day of school. It also establishes the other characters in that sense when they do like the roll call and then a little bit of their interaction. Mm-hmm. This is when the teacher chews him out for having cigarettes, and he's just like, "Yeah, I have cigarettes. What's the problem? I'm 27."
Yeah, because it's been like it's only been like one day since he became a teenager again, and so he doesn't realize, or he just doesn't think about those things, you know. About like,
yeah, and so he gets labeled as a freaking delinquent.
Yep, he forgot his pencil box, and he had cigarettes.
And that's also when you see Karyu is also just like a decent person, because she like angrily, she looks so angry, is focused on her paper, just holds out a pencil and eraser to him.
Yeah,
like without looking, completely anger aura, and I'm just like, oh, she's lovely.
I saw it more as like focus on the test rather than anger. I didn't really see it.
Oh, I thought she just looked pissed.
No, I thought it was like more of like a focus thing. But like, I mean, yeah, I mean that's totally
it could be either way.
Yeah, exactly. It could be. I mean, it could be some of both as well. But but she really wanted to do well on that test as well.
Yeah, so, she was like shooting for top of the class.
So again, both of those would make sense, because she could be angry that he's like kind of distracting her from taking the test and focusing as well. And she's trying to focus, so like the big combination there, yeah, for sure.
After the end of this first episode, I was worried though, given the like kind of atmosphere that was built up with his interaction with the teacher, like forget the pencil, oh no, cigarettes. I thought it was going to be like a very cringe humor kind of show.
Yeah,
because that's a lot of the vibe I got in the first episode. Thankfully, it did not continue with that. There was some cringe humor, but like, nowhere near as bad as the first episode. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay, good, because I thought it was just going to fall into that. I thought it was just what it was going to be. And I'm like, oh, no.
It definitely. Yeah, I guess I can see that a little bit.
Because I'm particularly sensitive to cringe humor. That's why, hot take here. That's why I could never really watch The Office.
Yeah,
because I can't stand Michael Scott. I can't do that kind of humor. It's I hate it.
I really love that kind of humor. But it has to be done well, obviously, like all humor. But I think, yeah, I mean, when I think of cringe humor in anime, I mean, I immediately go to Watamote, which you haven't seen.
What's new?
Yeah, I know. But yeah,
I've been getting better about it.
No, we've been getting you there. But yeah, this one definitely has some of those undertones. I can see where you're coming from. I didn't necessarily pick up on it myself. But
yeah, no, it's more just like that felt like it was going to be a trend after the first episode. And I'm very glad they didn't stick with it so much.
Yeah. The one thing it does keep up with as a trend, though, in its more comedic scenes, is like the use of chibis.
Yeah, which I liked.
Okay, so here's the thing, right? Like, generally, that can be used to just take the place of drawing, like, new, or, like, making, like, cool faces, or, like, interesting, funny faces on the character designs itself. But I think they do it really well here, honestly. Because, like, all the chibis are, like, very expressive. They still, like, fit in with, like, the initial art style and everything, you know, as well as they can, obviously. But yeah, I mean, I thought they were really well done, and I when I saw them again, I'd completely forgot about them from my initial watch, because like I said, it's been like 5 years since I watched this show, almost. Like I had almost forgotten about them, I had forgotten about them, and then when I saw them, I was like, oh man, is this gonna do the thing? And it didn't. I was very happily surprised. Very pleased.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. So basically the teacher is like, hey, if you failed like this many tests or more, you're going to have to do makeups. And it turns out that both Kazuki and An, I'm going to call her An, even though it's like literally the reverse of every other character I'm going to refer to. I apologize.
Yeah.
An and Kazuki both failed, and they pester Olga into helping them study, because Olga and Hishiro become the class reps, which apparently there's like some prestige with that. You get like free food, you get transportation reimbursed, stuff like that.
Yep.
Because this is like a high-end school.
Yeah, it's like a high-end prep school. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And at this point, it is in episode 2 that I have my first note. I made an immediate guess because we knew that Kazuki was subject number 2 of the ReLIFE trials in this branch.
Yeah.
Onoya is also dumb. Onoya talks as though she has experience. Onoya, what was the third point? Also transferred. I'm like, she's candidate 1. I'm calling it now.
Okay.
I was wrong. I'm going to go ahead and say that.
Yeah. I guess we'll go ahead and kind of spoil it here a little bit.
Spoil which thing?
This thing you're just talking about right now, because I also want to add
about on.
Yeah, about on. I want to add on that. So if you haven't watched the show, go watch the show. I mean, do it anyways.
Yeah, we're actually going to get into spoilers.
This is actually there's two. Well, there's a minor twist and a major twist, I would say. This is the minor twist, I think.
Yeah, and it comes up like somewhere, 5 or 6 episodes?
Yeah.
6.
So at this point, I remembered that somehow she was involved in everything. But I didn't. I was like, maybe she was like another test subject or something, you know. But I also forgot, and I did get it wrong as well. How exactly she's involved. I guess we won't spoil it fully. We can leave it a little, but she is involved in the test subjects. So
it's actually all I wrote on 2 or 3. Like, I didn't have many notes at the very beginning. Yeah. Because I had tried to change the format of my notes, and I wasn't figuring out exactly how I was going to do it. So I slim out a little bit here. Okay. So unless there's something else you have to say earlier, like around here, I'm going to move on to the sports stuff.
Oh well, yeah, no, there's definitely like a little bit now that I want to talk here.
Okay, what am I forgetting that needs mentioned?
Well, this is when like Kazuki and Hishiro like really meet.
Right.
Outside of
yeah,
class.
That's pretty important.
Because Kazuki he was like studying, or he had to go talk to the professor because he failed his exams, and so he went to go talk to her, to his homeroom teacher, and Hishiro was in there talking to another professor, asking them questions about like different things that she didn't fully understand, and so he starts talking with her, and this is when we get to see her smile for the first time, because she wants to know like how to make friends, because she doesn't have any friends, and you know, like I get that for sure, and she knows she's awkward, so she tries to smile, and she gives this like leering grin, kind of deal, and it's great. It's so funny.
Yeah. And they end up becoming, she's like, you've become my first friend, we should talk. And she's like, tries to subtly ask him for his phone number, and then he's dumb, and she's like, stupid.
Okay, no.
Give me your phone number.
No. It was not on him.
Oh, right.
Because she said, give me your phone. And he says, should I be a little, like, scared or, like, happy that you're trying to mug me right now? What's going on?
She's like, hey, idiot.
Yeah, and she's like, no, I want your phone number. And he's like, oh, okay, yeah, that's chill. Yeah.
No, because it's a little cute. Neither of them know how to, like, actually act around the other.
Yeah, well, because he's an adult, and she's an adult,
and she's incompetent.
She's a kid with no social anything at all. So yeah,
because that's one of the other trends is like, and I actually kind of like the way they handle this ish. One of the issues the main character has to deal with going through the show is like starting to get close to people, including girls. He's like, wait, this is not okay because I'm old. And they actually make that like a conflict point.
Yeah, and also, after his experiment's up, everybody else will forget about him, but he won't forget about them. Like they'll have the experiences still, but they won't remember him specifically.
They won't remember the person.
Yeah. And so it does become like a balancing act, I guess, Is that a good way to describe it? Of how he has
That's
to.
a way to describe it.
Yeah.
Of like still having meaningful connections without setting it up in a way the way I see it, without setting up in a way where you're going to end up hurting yourself knowing that they won't remember you exist.
Right.
Because that sounds brutal. Like, he's in this for a year, signing up for a thing for a year, knowing that no one's going to remember you after sounds like a miserable thing.
Yeah. And they also, but like, I mean, okay. I want to talk about it now, but it's very like late in the show. I could try not to spoil anything. Like specific.
As long as you don't spoil the thing.
I'm not going to spoil the thing. No. Okay. So there's well, it's pretty evident from the beginning that Karyu has a crush on Oga. Mm-hmm. You know, like that's pretty evident from the beginning. Because like even during their study session, yeah, continue.
When I mentioned that Kaizaki and Onoya get up to trouble together quite often, it's them gossiping about Oga not realizing the obvious thing.
Yeah.
Like they'll be in a study session with them and they'll both lean over and start talking to each other like, hey, he doesn't know.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's so cute every time.
Yep. And so eventually, like in the last episode, pretty sure, she's kind of like, all right, well, we might be going to different colleges, but I still want to tell him like how I feel. You know, kind of deal.
Everyone's third years, by the way. They put him in third year.
Yeah, they're all third years, so they're graduating this year. And so, you know, obviously everybody's like super supportive of her and everything. But then we get this little bit with Hishiro, where she's like, oh, well, if if everybody's, because she's socially inept, so like she doesn't, and she moved around schools a lot. Which is why she became the way she did, because she started walling herself off so she didn't have to cut all these ties when she kept moving, And she's like, well, what's the, point of telling somebody that if you're not going to be together, if you know you're not going to be together kind of deal. And it like ties it all back into like from his thing where they're just not going to remember to like also the kind of like the struggle of like, well, what if you move away from these people that you've known all your life, or you're like your friends or stuff like that. Which I really loved that. Yeah. That bit. It was really great.
That's a spooky, at least when it's related to like romantic endeavors. That's like a spooky thing, because that's something I've run into before. I
think about it once a week. I think about it once a week. Literally, a week. At least. Yeah.
Fascinating. I was talking about like in the past.
No, like just like not necessarily like romantically, but like moving away from like my friends to like.
Yeah, no, that was a trip, because like for college, I completely dipped. From where I was.
I mean, I didn't really have any like major friends in high school, so like moving to college, I like actually made friends like in a space, not online. So that was...
Yeah, see, whereas somehow, by some miracle, I did have some other absolute goblinoids that had adopted me back in high school, and I did miss them. I do miss them. I haven't heard from some of them in so long.
Yep.
That's one of those things. Like, so actually, Kaizaki talks about this. He's like, dude, it's weird. After, like, high school, you, like, start losing contact with all these people that you used to know, and I'm like, fuck, I feel that.
Yeah. No, I haven't...
I'm old.
I've talked to some of, like... the people I talked with in high school, right? I've talked to some of their parents more recently than them. And only because I was at my little sister's football games, like when she was like doing the cabaret stuff. And so like I would just see them and they'd be like, "Hey, what's up?" And I was like, "Who are you?" But
several of my high school friends I haven't heard from in ages, including my best friend from high school. Flat disappeared off the face of the earth when I went to college. Like, he got a girlfriend, he was busy with work, he did sports, and between all three of those things, I never fucking heard from him again.
Yeah, well.
All I know is he's going down to college in a completely different part of the country.
Yeah.
It's a trip.
Yep.
But hey, at least I still contact most of my college people. Like, unfortunately, you.
Where
were we? I rambled about myself too much right there.
We were talking about I mean, I just kind of skipped ahead a little bit because I wanted to relate it back to some stuff. But we were
I'm gonna skip.
we can go ahead and go talk about the sports stuff.
I actually, for the sake of time, I'm going to skip through the sports episode, or rather, I'm going to give it like one sentence. There's a sports episode where they're trying to like exercise, and Kaizaki keeps hurting himself because he forgets he's old.
Yeah. Okay, but we're not gonna skip over one of my favorite scenes in the whole show. Okay.
Oh, what am I forgetting this time?
No. Okay, it's during the sports thing, and they're doing the handball throw, and like the first two go, and they're like breaking records or whatever, and then Ogo steps up and he throws it and it goes 2 meters, like whereas the others had gone like 58 meters, and the other guy had like tried to kill Kaizaki because he wasn't paying attention or whatever.
Well, because he was looking at one of the girls.
Not at this point. That was later. This was
I thought that's why he threw the ball.
No, he wasn't paying attention.
Wait, no, you're right. Also, was that Oga? I thought it was Yoke.
No. Oga went to throw, and then it went 2 meters, and then
there's definitely Oga.
And then Oga walks back over, and Kaizaki's just got this stupid grin, this shit-eating grin on his mouth, like, hey, you might be good at sports, but like you suck at, or you might be good at like academics, but you suck at sports. And then they're like, and then he's like, all right, yeah, you go do it then. And so Kaizaki does it, almost rips his shoulder out of his socket and throws it 1 meter. And then as he walks back, Oga has the same shit-eating grin. And this is where Yoke comes in, because then it's Yoke's turn next. And Yoke is trying not to laugh. And the coach is like, hey, why are you laughing? And he's like, nothing. And he's just dying. Oh,
it's
man.
It's so
good. The chemistry these characters have is so good.
It's beautiful, honestly.
It is fantastic.
Kaizaki ends up hurting himself again. I feel like I also want to mention this. There's a couple of side characters. I mentioned them briefly, Inukai and Asaji. Inukai is the guy who like yeets the ball at him. He's super close with Honoka.
Yeah.
And Asaji is just the best boy.
Yeah.
He's this absolute behemoth of a man. And when Kaizaki hurts himself, Asaji's like, I'm the health rep. Are you okay? And Kaizaki's like, yeah, I'm fine. And he's like, no, you're not. Picks him up and like bride carries him.
Yeah, the princess carry. Yeah.
Princess carries him to the nurse's office. Yeah. It's lovely.
And
that like absolutely wounds Kaizaki's pride that this kid 10 years younger than him is carrying him to the nurse's office like a tiny little girl.
Yep. And saying Inukai, Asaji, and Tamarai are all three like childhood friends.
Tamarai is Honoka. I don't think we said it.
Oh, yeah. Tamarai is Honoka. And
so either one.
Inukai is very like protective of her.
He's the edgelord as well.
He is the edgelord, but every show's gotta have
because those two knew each other since they were like very, very little.
Yep. Did you have much else you want to talk about with the sports?
No, like literally, I was going to skip the sports episode.
Okay.
And then we got distracted.
It's like a fun episode, but
it's
not
fun,
like
but it's not important.
In the grand scheme of things of what we are going to talk about, it's not significantly important. I think it's important for the show. Like, I don't want to make it sound like we're saying, this episode could be cut and it's the same. Like, it wouldn't be.
No, because it definitely still sets stuff up.
Well, firstly, it introduces Inukai, Asaji, and Tamarai. It's like their introduction is this episode, but also like you get more like banter, and like more of like the chemistry between like Oga and Kaizaki, like their friendship and stuff like that.
When I say it's not important, I mean it doesn't have any like major plot threads in it.
Right, exactly. No, I knew what you meant. I just wanted to like clarify.
It's just development.
Because that could be misinterpreted,
It's at this point that I want to mention, because I think this is about when I noticed it, unimportant detail. With one exception, there is a different ED every episode.
Yeah.
Which I think is really cool because like Kazuki has like a music player, and so it starts with a shot of that, and then whatever song is playing, and it ends when he closes the window, presumably making it so you can't hear. Although I don't really like the edit they did for the sound to close it off. Like it works fine enough, but it feels a little weird to me because it sounds like the same kind of end a song edit that like I would have done when I was in college and still super lazy.
Yeah,
I fade out.
I do understand why. Because, like not everything is going to work for every song, you know what I mean? And they have to fit all these different songs into one visual, because they're not really changing the visual. The ending visual I don't think changes.
I think more my complaint, like, and again, it's not really a complaint because I understand completely why they did it, but when you close a window, that's not going to make the music stop, and it's not going to fade even. It's going to, like, when you close the window, it'll really quickly go quiet, but it's not going to steadily fade out the whole time, and so that just felt a little off to me. But I think that's about the best cut they're going to get with something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it would sound really weird, I think, if he closed the window and the music just started, like, in the murmuring in, like, the background. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, like I said, I understand.
No. Yeah. No,
but
for sure.
because of my editing background, it still felt a little weird.
Yeah, no, for sure. But also,
let's go a little bit
since
farther.
since we're talking about the ED, so we mentioned it.
Okay.
Let's talk about that OP. What did you think about that OP?
The OP, I've immediately forgotten it. What was it? I remember liking it, but I can't for the life of me bring it to mind right now.
I think it's a really good song, and the visuals are fun. Though the visuals are good. It's definitely not like a super memorable OP, you know? Because I agree with you. It takes me a minute to like remember the song. It's not like an instant, you know. Like, it's not like, you know, like an Attack on Titan OP.
Yeah, no, it's not one of those that you're like gonna instantly know the full song.
Yeah, like Soul Eater's OP or anything like that. Or Skate. I'm gonna push the propaganda here. Go watch Skate.
Jeez, dude.
Best anime of the season. But yeah, no, it's not one of those. But it's still fun. It's still fun.
Yeah. For context, I usually, to save time, I'll skip OPs and EDs. I did not skip a single one in the show.
All right.
I listened to every OP. I listened to every ED because they were just bops. Although my favorite. It took me a moment to realize that the ED was like changing every time because I didn't realize it was different from because there wasn't one in the first episode. The second one, the episode came through, and there's like this absolute like super groovy jazz going. I'm like, yeah, I dig this. And it was something else next episode, and I'm like, no, where'd the jazz go? I liked it.
Oh man, no, we're gonna have to have a talk about skipping OPs, buddy.
Look,
we're
man,
gonna have to have a talk about that one. But right
usually
now
run short on time.
Is not the time.
You're
telling that to me?
Yeah. Let's go. I'm going to go a little bit farther on the story, and then we do need to call our half break soon-ish, I think.
Yeah, we need to call it very soon. So let's do like a short segment here.
Okay, yeah. So let's talk about like the next big conflict, and we'll resolve the conflict after. Basically, Karyu is like super upsetty because she was the top student last year, but now Hishiro has taken over. And she's been doing like that like mocking smile, like thinking it's a legitimate smile, trying to make friends with Karyu.
Yeah.
But Karyu is like, she's making fun of me. She took my position. She's getting close to my man.
Mm-hmm.
I hate the way I said that. But that's what it is. And then she's like, yeah, so I hate her. She's like doing everything she can to take my spot and is rubbing it in.
Yeah.
So she goes upstairs to return a key and sees that Hishiro is still in the staff room, sees Hishiro's bag, and she's like, I'm going to cause trouble just to give her a hard time. Takes her bag and tries to run off with it.
Mm-hmm. She's going to throw it away at the station.
Mm-hmm. But she runs into Kaizuki, and Kaizuki is already pretty close with Hishiro. And he calls her out and is like, hey, you got 2 bags, and I know what that other one is.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And she tries to just like split. She trips down the stairs. He catches her, but is also an old man and falls down the stairs with her.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're both injured. Him more so than her because he shields her from the fall.
Yeah. But they both get knocked out.
Shows a lot about his character,
mm-hmm.
I feel.
Yeah.
Like, that his instinct is not protect myself, it's protect her.
Yeah.
Even if it's not someone that he's, like, close with, per se.
I mean, well, they were friends at this point.
They're friends, but
I would
like,
say they're as
like,
close as, like, Hishiro and him are. But, like, I get what you mean.
At this point in time, but still, you know what I mean.
I get what you mean, yeah.
That was lovely.
Yeah.
And,
So Hishiro's the one that finds them and takes them to the nurse's office.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously she sees that Kaeru has her bag. And so once they wake up, Kaizaki gives Kaeru a big old stern talking to.
Basically, like he even after the fact is like, holy shit, I just lectured her like I'm still 27.
Yeah.
Even though she called him out halfway through, like, we're the same age, don't talk like you have experience.
Yeah. And then he leaves first, and Hishiro was waiting outside for him, because she wanted to ask about the bag. And at first he lies and is like, no, she saw it was there and thought, something. I don't remember exactly what he said. But
it's like, oh, she's gonna like take it and make sure it gets where it needs to be or whatever.
Yeah.
Thought someone would take it.
Yeah. And then he's like, okay, no, that's not true. I'm sorry. And tells her the truth. Because
he thinks back to something Yoke said where he's like, are you sure that for a person's growth, are you sure it's the best idea to remove every single obstacle for them?
Yeah. And so he tells her the truth, and then she waits for Karyu and confronts Karyu about it. And then
before it like actually goes down was one of my favorite shots.
Okay.
She's like, okay, I'm gonna talk to Karyu by myself. You can go home, please. And he like starts to walk off, and we get this back and forth of him walking off, her standing there, him walking off, her standing there, and then he stops for a moment. Oh, I can't just fucking leave. Backpedals, ducks behind a bush.
Yep.
And it turns out Yoke is already there and accidentally jump scares him.
Uh-huh.
And Yoke's like, shut up, you'll get us found. And he's like, what the fuck are you doing here?
Yeah. Oh, man, it's great.
It was so good.
Yep. And so, but then she confronts Karyu. And that's where we'll leave it at the half break.
That is a good choice. I was thinking of doing the same, but you were on a roll, so I didn't want to cut you off.
So, we'll take our half break here very quickly. We'll be back in a minute.
I'll be right back with audio part 2 of Shot of Weeb episode 28. Not Asobi Asobase, that was weeks ago. ReLIFE.
What's going on?
We
need this break. Yeah, all right.
Send help.
Alrighty, I'm gonna. Hey, welcome back to the second half of a Shot of Weeb episode 28, where we're talking about ReLIFE. Left it at a bit of a cliffhanger there.
Oh no, what's gonna happen?
Yeah, I'm sure it's been seconds for some people. But yeah, so where we left it was Hishiro had just confronted Kaido about why she stole her bag. So.
Mm-hmm. And
what am I doing? Hold up, what am I doing? What am I even doing? We have to take a shot. I was just hopping into it. We got a shot. I'm still trying to
get the Chex Mix out from between my teeth. I had Chex Mix over break.
We'll swish it out with some vodka.
That's a bad choice. I'm gonna swish it out with crepe soda.
Oh man.
Pardon me. Let me just get the whole bottle. Drink responsibly, like I'm doing right now, knowing not to go for the whole bottle.
Yeah. Yeah. We didn't say that at the beginning, but yeah, drink responsibly. We know our limits, so just stop whenever you want to stop.
Stop whenever you need to stop. Yeah. Like whenever don't be stupid. There we go.
That's it. Keep it simple, stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Kanpai. I now know.
Kanpai. One of these days, I'm gonna hit you with the bonsai.
That burned. I think I had a cut on my lip. Holy crap!
Because we're gonna go into a frenzy when I hit you with that bonsai.
Sorry, that stings. Oh boy.
Alrighty.
Okay.
Well, now we can actually get into talking about the show. Man, I was just so excited to talk about the show, I guess.
And honestly, I'm having a good time.
Yeah, I'm having a great time.
I like doing the podcast.
It's fun. Yeah, it's fun. So
It's the whole $3 worth it.
that's right. I don't even care about the money though. So.
No, I just like to joke about it.
Oh yeah, for sure. All right. So Karyu kind of like comes clean to Hoshiro, about everything, like why she took the bag, and she was like, "Well, you're always just like you're taking everything from me. Like you always give me this like glare or like this like shit-eating grin kind of deal."
You're
That's
clearly
not the right
mocking me every time you see me.
a mocking grin. Yeah, you're mockingly smiling at me every time we lock eyes, and so I wanted to do something to get back at you. And then and then he was just like, "What? I've never done that before. That's not."
He sure also completely rats out Kazuki. Like, Kazuki told me what happened.
Yeah.
Just like instantly.
Yep. And so that all goes down, and she's like, "Yeah, no, it's whatever." And so they do their whole thing, and they eventually Karyu starts crying, and stuff, and like kind of like explaining to her, like because she's basically having like a mental breakdown right here, which like, generally, I would say that's a bad thing. Not a very good thing to happen. But here, it's like a different kind of like mental breakdown, I think, than what
she's had a lot sort of like bottled up, but she's finally getting to
like the bottle has like exploded. The Mentos were dropped in, and she's firing off at all cylinders. And it just so happens that Hishiro has taken the brunt of this. Even though Kazuki did also get a bit of it as well.
At the risk of shifting the tone a little bit too much, I do think there's a really good moment here, because like the first time Hishiro gives that like mocking grin, quote unquote, to Karyu, Kazuki's like, "Nah, dude, trust me, she's just trying to give a friendly smile." Yep. She's like, "No, there's no way that's the case." But then she remembers that, because when she says, "You're always giving me this mocking look," and Hishiro legitimately doesn't know what she's talking about, she's like, "Wait a second, wait. Smile for me."
Yeah. And she has her do it like off and on. Yeah.
And then she's like, "Oh my god, I thought he was lying."
Yeah. No. But that's like where that bit stops. Like that's like where that scene ends. There's not really like any full resolution.
Well, no. Well, actually, no. There is, because Hishiro is like, "Hey, I've been trying to smile at you because I want to be friends. We should be friends." And she's like, "Only if you see me as a rival. Like, I will take that pin from you." And she's like, "Well, I could just throw the next test." And she's like, "No.
Yeah.
No, I'm earning it."
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. I did forget about that. And so there's a bit of resolution there, and so we get that. And then like the next day we see them at school and they're eating lunch together.
Mm-hmm. She has joined the friends circle with Karyu and Tamurai Honoka.
Yeah, the only
them.
They're a triangle now. It's 3 of them instead of just the 2.
Pour myself some soda, but some to get the vodka out of there first.
And so yeah, that it all seems like it's going well.
That's not a good combo, by the way. This is freaking blue raspberry vodka with cheap cream soda. That's not. I don't like that. Yeah,
that's terrible. Why would you ever do that?
Because it's what I had.
All right.
Because it's what I had, but the mug is clean now and it's getting just soda in it. Oh, it looks like tea. What the heck?
And then so like the next episode though after this is
wait, actually.
Oh, okay, all right, go for it.
There's a reveal in this episode. It's kind of like a backflash. We find out why, in broad strokes, why Kazuki quit after 3 months.
Yeah, that's right. That was.
This is shown in a flashback here. Basically, he was like being mentored in this like sales job by a woman. But the entire rest of the corporation is basically doing whatever they can to shaft her out of what she's actually worked towards. Mm-hmm. We don't know the full extent of it at this point, but we're led to believe that that specifically is the reason why he quit, is because he couldn't condone what the company was doing.
Yeah.
It builds on that later, but that's like all
very much so.
Quite a bit.
Yeah, and so we get that whole thing. And then the next episode, we've got Oga and An show up at Kazuki's house after Kazuki's has had a great night of drinking and smoking with his buddy Yoake.
Yeah, so he's got to hide all the beer cans and cigarette butts.
There's a lot. For 2 people, that was a lot of beer.
It's insane.
And so then he like quickly cleans up the place. They come in to study, and so they're studying for a while, and he's doing his best to like hide all the things that would maybe make him seem like a 28-year-old, like
a delinquent.
Yeah, say like all the beer in the fridge, and then like his calendar that has like application dates and stuff like that on it.
Yeah, and An keeps snooping through this. She tries to get into his fridge. She looks at the calendar.
Yep.
Oga nearly trips on one because he tries to go out to the back porch where all the trash bags are hidden to like take a phone call
with all the beer cans. Yep.
And he's like, no, you answer your phone right here, right now.
Yeah. and so then, but that phone call it's Oga's work calling him in for a shift, and so Oga has to go. So it's just An and Kazuki.
He begs Oga to take her with him because, like, look, she's a girl and it's just me here.
Yeah.
Leave with her.
And Oga's so dense that he doesn't get it, but also An doesn't want to go, so nothing they can do. And then An...
She starts hitting on him hard.
Yep.
And we see Yoke starting to, like, panic, like he's requesting emergency surveillance. He's running down the streets.
Yeah, because he's like, oh man, this 28-year-old's about to get it on with a child.
Yeah, because that was an actual comment earlier, because he's like, look, I know you're back in high school, and we're not going to stop love, but no crimes, please.
Yeah.
Was the actual phrase.
Yeah. And so that whole thing's happening, and then right before An is able to really do anything, like An is like confessed and everything.
It's freaking close.
Very close, but Yoake bursts through the door. And they're both like surprised. Or no, only Kazuki's surprised. Kazuki's like, "How did you Did you break my lock?" And he's like, "Nope, I got a spare key."
To which An is like, "Oh, are you two gay?"
Yeah, and Kazuki is like he's like, "No, we're not. No, we're not lovers. We're not lovers." And then she's like, "All right, well,
unfortunate because they're very good together.
That's good for me." And then Yoake is kind of like, look, this is An, and she works with us. She's also 28. She's another support, but she's a support in training.
And she's just like, oh yeah, all that like confession of love. I was just testing you. Don't worry about it. Just kidding.
Yeah, but then also,
which
she was like, but actually, it was all true. Also.
Except for where it wasn't. Kazuki handles this with so much more grace than I would have, because I would have been upsetty to be played with like that.
Well, okay.
That just felt mean-spirited.
Yeah. Well, a little bit, but also I can understand trying to test him to make sure he doesn't commit any crimes.
I completely understand the reasoning, but by golly, I'd be salty.
Yeah.
Because that's a roller coaster and a half right there.
Yep. And so, as you do in every Disney movie to make the girl pretty, she takes off her glasses, lets down her hair, and now she's a beautiful adult. But she still has the body of a child. Well,
as they all
the physical appearance of a child, I guess. Not a child, but like a senior in high school.
Yeah, they're like established to be like, I think they're all 37 and or 38. 28, sorry. 27
she's 27. She's turning 27 that year. Kazuki is turning 28 that year, and Yoake is 28.
but they all look like they're 17 or 18.
Right.
It's literally just a 10-year step back.
Right. So that whole thing goes down, and we learn a bit more about like the ReLIFE Corporation. Is that what you'd call it?
Mm-hmm.
And a bit more
sort
about
of like the structure of it a little bit.
Yeah, and then we get the kind of the backstory, I guess, of Yoake.
Yeah, this is definitely a flashback episode because it builds on Yoake and Nakaru on.
Mm-hmm.
And their like experience in real life prior to this.
It is mainly though Yoake.
Mostly Yoake because On is like his what's the word? Is it Kohai?
Kohai. Yeah. She's still she's still in training, which you're supposed to only be in training for a year, but this is her second year. But also Yoake was in training for 2 years as well. So
yeah. So we had already seen this from like the research logs basically, but it's like officially stated that like his experience with the first subject the year prior had been considered a failure. There was no meaningful growth and it just ended.
Yeah.
He was shouted at for getting too close to the subject, so he backed off, and then they got equally mad at him for not doing enough, so he's just like, what the fuck, guys?
Yeah, I mean, it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't kind of situation.
Yeah. And then An is the one who picks out Kaizuki as the next person, or suggests him or whatever.
Yeah.
And so Yoke goes to scout him out, and he's like, wow, he's actually a good dude. He's just roughed up. And he mentions past trauma, which is kind of interesting, because we haven't been established to that yet.
Yeah.
So we know there's like an actual reason that Kaizuki went down this path.
Yep.
But he's upset Yoke is upset because he thinks he's going to be fired. An is upset because she gets reassigned to training again while Yoke is given the support role to Kaizuki.
Yep. Which was supposed to be hers.
Yeah.
And so we see him testing Kaizuki and stuff by like going to the convenience store, and he leaves his wallet out, and Kaizuki immediately sees it and runs after him.
Like instantly.
Yeah. Which shows, and I think what they were looking for here is like Kaizuki is like really, aware of his surroundings. He's like a good people person, kind of deal. And they wanted to like try to help him get back to that path because they know his history, which we don't yet, but they know his history at the company, why he quit, everything.
The exact phrase that is used is, well, not exact phrase, to paraphrase, what they say in effect is that Kazaki believes he is at fault for the loss of someone close to him.
Yes. And so we seal this, and then, the whole episode ends with Yoake running into Kaizaki in the middle of the night, and then he offers him the pill. Mm-hmm. And that's it. Then Kaizaki is addicted to heroin.
Jeez, dude.
Nah, the heroin doesn't come in a pill. You inject that shit.
So, after this point is the Honoka arc. I want to ask you here, do we want to still, like, take our time and step through this, or do we want to summarize the Honoka arc almost as if that was one episode?
We can go through it basically as one episode. There's a lot here, but...
Mm-hmm. This is the segment that involves our main characters the least. This is entirely the dynamic between Karyu and Honoka.
Yeah. But the thing is, right, the thing with this section that I really like...
it is good, yeah, don't get me wrong.
No, it's very good. But, like, there's so much here to delve into that I don't feel like we have enough time to do it properly. So I think it would be better to touch on the high points, and then, like, stick more with, like, the main... I don't want to say main focus, because that's not exactly right, but, like, with Kazuki, like, what's going on with Kazuki. You know, but
How about-
also
I'm
I
just gonna
didn't
say
I
the
didn't
same
see
thing.
this. But before you finish that thought though, I just want to clarify. I didn't see this arc as like either unnecessary or like out of the way, or like oh man, I have to get through this before I can see what happens to Kaizaki. Like no, not at all. Like it definitely like felt natural that we're following this bit and all of that. So I just wanted to like
Even if these two aren't the main character per se, they're still important enough that it doesn't feel out of place.
right, exactly. And I'm like,
Or at the very least, since it's Karyu, maybe not so much Honoka myself.
right, not really Honoka as much, but like Karyu is she has been prominent and has had quite a few issues up to this point, and this is kind of the culmination of all of that coming together, basically. So
Basically, what I'm just going to say, this is the same thing we say with most things we talk about on this show. Just go watch it for yourself, man. You know?
yeah, no, honestly, I mean, like what? This is 13 episodes, so what? It's like 4.5 hours, roughly, to watch the whole thing. We're gonna be talking about it less than 2 hours. Like there's no way we're gonna like discuss everything. Yeah,
Yeah,
no.
because like even like this is a very different. I'm gonna tangent for a tiny bit here. This is very different than talking about like a movie. This is a lot of content to cover in a short time frame. That's why our podcast wound up so much longer than we initially expected at first.
Yeah.
It's because we've got a lot to talk about when we're doing this.
I mean, like at 13 episodes, you know, it doesn't sound like a lot because now that's kind of just the typical series, right? And also, like when you compare it to other shows, like just like The Office, you know, how many episodes that has. Like, even in one season, it's got like at least 20 episodes or so. Like 13 episodes seems like nothing, but like
That's like 3 times the length of Shrek.
yeah. And there's a lot to talk about there. It's at least twice the length of Boss Baby.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like if this, I suppose what I'm trying to say is this is a general rule of thumb for the Shot of Weeb podcast as a whole.
Yeah.
No matter what we talk about, good, bad, or whatever, we are going to miss things. And if you want the full experience, we can't give you that. You'll have to watch the show.
We're not trying to
We're
give you
just
that
hitting
either.
we're hitting the highlights and discussing our thoughts.
Yeah.
That's the best we can do.
Yeah. I say we don't want to replace the show either.
Yeah, no, not at all.
Sometimes, you know, Babylon, gross.
Which is why, like, if you're looking for something new to watch, maybe, like, let us introduce it and then come back once you've seen it. Or if it's something that you've, like, fully decided you don't care about, you can get the idea from what we've said, but it's still not going to be the full experience.
Yeah, no, it'll never be the full experience. That's for sure. But yeah, so let's run down this arc. Because it's a fun arc. I mean, let's.
Honoka is failing her classes, but she's the captain of the volleyball team, so volleyball teacher is like, hey, get your grades up. Mm-hmm. So she works herself really, really hard to get her grades up, ends up passing out during practice. Everyone's worried about her. She knocks the volleyball cart over as she falls to the ground. The volleyballs roll across, and Karyu lands on one of them and sprains her ankle.
Well, she's dodging one of them.
Either way,
Yeah.
sprains her ankle really, really badly 3 weeks out from the final tournament of their final year.
Yeah.
This leads to... I dropped my thing. This leads to Honoka feeling responsible, Karyu lashing out in absolute anger because it's established that a lot of the team is upset with Honoka for being, quote-unquote, naturally good. Although Karyu goes up to bat for her and is like, no, she works her ass off. Even she is good, yes, but also puts in effort on top of that, which none of you do.
Yeah.
But even she lashes out saying, like, yeah, I'm injured, but we've got you. You're so amazing, you don't even need me there.
Yeah.
Which puts this huge
I think
difference between them.
she also says, like, I'm no genius, so even if I'm not there, she's like, it's not like with you where if I'm missing, they won't be able to win. Like, they can always find somebody to go in for my spot.
Which we find out is, like, super, super hurtful to Honoka, because that's like a sore spot from her past, is like she was like amazingly good and everyone hated her for it, and that's why she didn't even want to join the team initially.
That's why she didn't go to a
This is me
big
jumping
name
around a little
volleyball
bit.
school.
Yeah. There are two unrelated bits to the full arc that I'd like to bring up in this next episode, if I may. So
Okay.
I'm going to expand the summary a tiny bit.
Okay, go for
There's
it.
one I think is a really good throwaway line where Hishiro is dumb.
Yeah.
Honoka has like clearly been crying, and so Hishiro calls it out by being like, "Wow, you look really ugly today."
Yeah.
And Honoka's like, No. I look fine. I've not been crying. And Hishiro's like, well, what is it then? Was it bees? And she's like, yes, clearly bees. And Hishiro's like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh, well, I hope you get better soon. Yeah. Yeah. No, it was great.
Oh, there's so much dumb.
Yep.
We also... Actually, wait, no. The other bit, we'll talk a tiny bit further. If at any point you want to take over the summary, please do, but I'm just going to ramble
for sure.
until you cut me off.
For
here.
sure.
Actually, my notes kind of suck for this like center part. Rena is trying to hide that she's injured. She resigns from the volleyball team because she's like, she doesn't need to be there. Olga continues to be stubborn, but in the good way, because like he stays after class late with Karyu. Karyu's like, I'm just waiting for him to leave so that I can sneak out without him knowing I'm injured. But they end up leaving at the same time anyway. She falls, and he's like, I'm not just going to leave you here. I'm going to help you get out of here. Separately, Hishiro approaches Kaizaki and is like, hey, something's wrong between these two. I can't figure out why, and I feel like I can't directly ask this one, which is a huge change because she would normally just up front ask.
Yeah.
And she's like, this seems delicate. Can I get your help on it? And they have like this heart-to-heart about like, is it right or wrong to interfere with your friend's business if you're concerned for them? And that, I think this is the correct context to use the word, I guess, triggers Kazuki.
Yeah, no, that's 100% what it is. Yeah. It triggers him, and we get a past
we
a
find out
flashback.
exactly what happened at his company.
And what happened was that...
Or sorry, we don't know the full... We know what happened.
We know what happened. We don't know
the
the full context yet. No. But what had happened is that there was a bunch of people at his job that were like... Or like he found out that they were like all kind of like bullying her and everything. Like the girl
his senpai at work.
Yeah, his senpai that was training him. And so he was like, okay, well, I'm not going to have this anymore. I'm going to, stand up for her and stuff. And then the bullying got worse. And then okay, I want to put this as delicately as possible.
Content warning?
Yeah, content warning. But he finds that she hanged herself on the premises.
Mm-hmm.
And
which is when the flashback starts, he had been like speaking from experience, like, yeah, I remember one time there was a similar circumstance that someone I knew was in. She was being bullied, for lack of a better word, is the way he puts it, basically, because he's trying to frame it so that he doesn't sound like he's 27.
Right.
And he's like, and then I interfered and things got worse. And then he starts like reaching for his neck and completely freezes up. And that's when we go into the flashback.
Yeah. And
God, this bit actually really kind of fucked with me.
It's like, it's really heavy shit. And then, so then that happens. Then once we get out of the flashback, he kind of just like latches on to Hishiro in a hug once she kind of like is able to snap him out of his like trance, I guess.
Yeah, because for a brief moment he sees his senpai in her.
Yeah. And so then he like hugs her, and then he like kind of realizes what happened. And I did actually like the way that they did the tonal shift there to make it more of a bring it back to like the kind of like lighthearted roots that the show is kind of set in. Because when he like realizes that he's like hugging Hishiro, he like jumps back and like slams his head against his bed, and it's kind of like a bit of a funny scene, but they don't like overplay the comedy.
Just light enough to like ease you back into the normal feel after we just took that trip down a dark alley.
Yeah, like because like I mean that's hard to come back from, you know, like when you take it down that dark of a route. Like I know a lot of times, like in anime especially, like that's where they'll end the episode, and I think that might be because like it's so hard to transition out of that naturally.
Yeah, you just a lot of times you'll just go to credits and you'll play like somber or no music over credits and just let it hang there. But no, they have a little bit more to do this episode and they bring it back safely.
Yeah, they did, and they did it. They stuck the landing, honestly. But like, it's not like that. All of that is just gone. Like there is still that those like undertones of that like kind of like. This is gonna sound cringy, okay? Just, but the darkness he has within him, okay? I don't know how else to phrase it right now. Like that's all I can think of.
Out the edge.
But like, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And they do it like honestly. I mean, I've already said it a couple times, but they do it really well. And I was a little worried, honestly. Because I checked to see how much time was left. Because I was like, oh, this is going to be the end, right? And when I checked the time...
it's halfway through the episode.
Yeah, it's like halfway through, if even that far. And then I was like,
there's still a good chunk after this.
A lot left to go. And so, yeah.
Mm-hmm. After that revelation, Kazaki and Hishiro, I'm going back into summary mode, if that's all right, unless you have anything else to say.
No, continue.
Hishiro and Kazaki set out to, like, interfere. They determined that, like, yes, we need to get involved. Yeah. Which is scary for Kazuki for obvious reasons. Mm-hmm. But they go to do it. They corner Honoka. Corner's the wrong word, but they like track down Honoka and they talk to her and they're like, "Hey, what's going on between you two? What's your thoughts on this?" And while they're talking, it reveals that Honoka's like, "Yeah, I didn't even want to join. Like, I didn't want to go to like a big sports college. I didn't want to do like her school or whatever. I didn't want to do that." During this point, Inukai and Asaji notice that they're in there talking. They like overhear it because they were looking for Honoka.
Yeah.
And they like split off, grab Karyu and make her listen to the conversation.
Well, Inukai does. Asaji stays there.
Asaji's like, dude, what's going on? But no, yeah.
Inukai's super protective of Honoka.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It ends up being Asaji, Inukai, Karyu, and one other person? I think it was either Yoke or Oga. It was Oga?
Yep.
Are all like listening at the door while Kazuki, Hishiro, and Honoka are talking.
Yep.
They cut the episode there when Honoka mentions that she's only doing volleyball because of Karyu. And then we get another bit of background in the next episode where it shows like the reason that Honoka did go through with volleyball, because she had been sort of like sandbagging her skill to not like show off his top quality. She wanted to just like play sports because it's fun.
Yeah.
Karyu corners her and is like, "Hey, you're this person from this high school. You're really good, aren't you? Hit me with a spike. Do it. Best you can. Best you got." And she does. It hits her right in the face. And she's like, "Ow, that hurt. You're the best person ever. Be my friend. I will beat you."
Yep.
And so that's how that happened. They go into the final volleyball game. Or, sorry, no. They, like... Honoka opens the door because she wants to talk to Karyu. And all four of them are still sitting, like, right outside. They weren't able to get away in time. And so Karyu looks like she's about to dip. Oga is, like, behind Karyu, almost, like, holding her.
Yeah.
And my favorite... Inukai and Asaji are just holding their bags in front of their face.
Yeah. Oh, man, it's great. It's so good.
It was a good shot.
It was a really good shot.
Honoka's like, "Hey, I want to play volleyball with you. Please show up to the tourney. Your leg is healed. Please be there." Karyu storms off. Mm-hmm. And they go to the actual volleyball game. Honoka can't play worth crap because she's not in a good mindset and Karyu's missing. So Kaizuki and Hishiro are like, we need to go get her. Does anybody know her address? And none of them say anything. And Kaizuki gets a text from Yoke saying, this is her address. And he's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
I'm going to go ask the teacher where she's at.
Yep.
And so they split and they go get her. And they're like, hey, do you realize what's going on here? You can't just like bail on this. And she's like, well, I didn't want to go anyway. And she's like, you are at home wearing your uniform. Yes, you did. And basically they're like, look, I'm being selfish. I want you two to play, figure out what exactly it is that you want, realize what's going on here. You need to go play.
Yeah.
And there's a lot more depth to it than I'm giving here. I'm doing brevity for sake of time.
Yeah.
They talk her into going back to the game. And they do a hard cut. They don't show much of the sport because this isn't freaking Kuroko.
Yeah, it's not Haikyuu, unfortunately.
We end up with this conversation after the fact of Karyu, Honoka, and Hishiro are sitting around. They still lost the game. They were eliminated. This was an elimination game. There is no more volleyball.
Yep.
But both of them like come to terms with each other. They're both crying because they're like, I can't believe we had this harsh of an argument for like barely any good reason. And they both thank Hishiro for being a good friend and keeping them together, which is a huge step for Hishiro, who doesn't even know how to friendship at the beginning of this.
Yeah.
And now she's like an integral part, and it's development. It's good.
And it ends with her doing a little hee laughter when they're hugging her. Yeah, and they're like, actually... "Whoa, wait, why are you doing that that creepy smile again?" Or like, no, Reina says that, and then Honoka's like, "Hey, that's rude, but it is kind of creepy though." Okay. And it was a really good. They're really well. Like all of the like comedic relief is really well placed, I think, to really like settle you back down out of like the super serious things that happen in this show, because there's a lot of stuff. You know, it's not all like dark and gloomy stuff either.
Yeah.
Like, but there is like a lot of serious things in this show, just like in general about kind of, I would say kind of about just like high school life, being a teenager, you know.
Yeah.
So
okay, so we've got. I'm just gonna level right here. We have 3 episodes left to talk about. We're short on time, and we've still got like closing thoughts and some other like side discussion. Do you want to summarize, or do you want me to keep going for my quick points and interject where you think?
I think I think you have the best quick points, because I tend to ramble. On things like this. I will interject though when I need to.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep hitting the bullet points and shout at me if there's something very important.
You will do.
Episode 11. Kazuki requests for some medicine to turn back into an adult for like literally just one day, because it is the anniversary of his senpai's death. He wants to go visit her grave. Yoke is like, I will only approve it if I can go with you, because I want to keep an eye on you, because we were watching last year and you froze there for like a full day. It gets approved. They go there.
Yeah, because they're worried he's going to follow in the footsteps of his senpai.
Yeah, which is like a very scary way to word that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, I don't know. I was trying to word it as best I could. I think
that's how the show words it.
Right, like that is how the show words it. And yeah, it is terrifying though. Yeah.
Because there's another one of those heavy episodes. This is when they delve back into the issue.
Basically, this is when we get the full story. Yeah.
We get the full story. It was pretty clear that they were like screwing her over. Like she's losing cases through no fault of her own. He goes to interview her and she's like, no, just leave it. It'll only get worse.
Yep.
You got to grow up. That's what she says. You've got to grow up.
Yep.
Because he's fresh into the workforce. She dies. And the boss gives this speech about like, she chose to end it here, which means she must have loved this company with her entire soul. And then some other staff behind him are like, she was going to get a promotion, but now she's not. You think I'll get it? And he's like, okay, fuck y'all. This is not okay. Someone just died and you're being like this.
Yeah.
He goes to give his resignation to the boss, and the boss is like, you don't get to resign. If you're leaving now, I'm firing you.
Uh-huh.
And it will forever stay in your resume. Like he said, you're going to be screwed out of like every job ever now. And he's like, this is a matter of principle. I'm out. I'm done. So he fires him.
Yep.
as he's leaving the grave, he meets 2 new employees at that company who were coming to visit the grave as well.
Yep.
And we find out that Kaizaki is still used as like an example of who not to be in the company. The boss loves to rag on him.
Yeah.
But new hires see that as someone to look up to, someone who stood up for principle over the shadiness of the company.
Yeah, because it's called a black company.
Do you know what that means? I don't know what that means.
No, I think it just means... I don't know. Like, I don't know exactly what it means, but like my interpretation from the way it was talked about was just like a company that's just a really shitty place. For lack of a better word, because this place was pretty shitty.
Yeah. And so they leave it to Kazuki to think that it was just like chance they bumped into each other, even though they had on kind of ish pull some strings, but also not really. It's a little of both.
Yeah.
They go forward. He continues with ReLIFE. And then we get Kazuki is trying to encourage Oga and Karyu to get together. That's what the next sequence is. And I feel like a lot of this can be breezed over, but there were some good gags in here that I'm gonna like briefly touch on.
Yeah.
Like when he's like, "Hey, Oga, have you ever been interested? Do you like anyone?" And Oga just like flat face, "I like everyone."
Yeah. Yep.
Oga's so dense and he's the best.
He is.
And he's like, "Aha, you've got to get yourself a girl now or you'll be lonely. You'll be the only single person you ever know." And then Kazuki realizes, "Oh, wait, shit, I'm single."
Yeah. Yep. But then he's talking with Oga through all these things. He's like, "Is there anybody like that you can like tell everything to, that you really like to be around, that you want to hold their hand?"
And Oga pictures Karyu for every one of
yeah.
these.
And then there's one where he's like, is there somebody that you want to kiss? And we see like a kissy face Karyu, which she would never do.
Never.
Like, first off. And like he just gets super red and then he's like, "Oh shit, I think I'm in love." Oh man. And so like not only does Oga not realize that when somebody else likes him, but he doesn't realize when he likes someone. Mm-hmm. You know, it's great.
And so like everyone groups together to try to like figure out what to do. And so like Oneya, Hishiro, and Yoke all show up to like give encouragement.
Yep.
And they're just like, "Oh, I thought you might want a young girl's influence on this." And then it pans over each of them in turn. Oneya, quotation marks, young?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hishiro, uselessly dense.
Yep.
Yoke, subtitles, tag along.
Yeah. Yep.
No useful information between any of them.
None. And none of them are even able to give any useful answers when they're asked questions either, which is fantastic. Mm-hmm. It's so good.
So they all agree, like, "Hey, invite her to the fireworks festival and tell your feelings there."
Yep.
Final episode. There are 2 important points to get to in order. We're running over time. I don't care.
Whatever.
I'm just gonna do the 2 important points.
Yeah. No.
First of all, everyone kind of pulls some strings and gets Oga and Karyu together. Alone. Mm-hmm. One of them is like, "Hey, I've loved you."
Yep.
And they're like, wait, hold on. I was going to say the same thing to you. And so we find out it's both ways. And there's all kinds of awkward resulting from that, and it's so cute.
It is. It's really adorable.
And then it turns out they did the same thing. They being An and Yoke did the same thing to Kazuki and Hishiro, specifically snuck along to give them 2 some time alone. Because it's clear they're starting to grow really close.
Yep.
But Kazuki, I dropped the thing again. Dang it. I can't find it. There it is. Kazuki is also like not wanting to go too far because he's clearly like developing feelings.
Yeah.
Which is something he's come to conflict about because
he's 28 and she's 17.
But they decide, like, "Hey, we're going to spend some time together." And they have this interesting conversation about fireworks. Like, they're flashy and they're amazing, but then they're gone and they leave you feeling empty. Mm-hmm. And they both have this moment where they're like, we need to enjoy being together while everything is still new and flashy. Because what happens, in the future when one of us, when you've forgotten me?
Yeah.
Or she says the same thing in the future when you've forgotten me.
Mm-hmm.
We get the big reveal.
Yep.
Hishiro is the failed ReLIFE Subject 1.
Yeah.
I lost my shit. I'm like, yo! Get together!
Yeah. No, and it's interesting too, you know, because you see that. I don't know, like you can see that hinted at a lot, you know, like throughout the whole.
Especially
thing.
in that final conversation, the way she's talking about the fireworks.
Oh yeah.
It's clear that she's thinking the same thing. She's thinking that at the end of this year he won't remember me.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're both given that same information that everyone will forget about you.
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing like that I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, where like she says, you know, what's the point of telling somebody you love them if they're just gonna be gone? You know, it's that same thing. But like, also she, by her own story, she had been a transfer student multiple times to multiple different schools. And, like, there's, like, all these other, like, little hints that have been dropped throughout the series, which you can pick up the pieces on. But, like, I mean, I didn't either.
Oh, I didn't at all.
Like, on either of my watches. And, like, and then, like, but then after I was, like, after it dropped, after, like, you know, new info dropped, we got, I, like, kind of looked back and I was like, oh, no, they've been saying it since day one. That this is that she was like number one. That's crazy, you know.
Yeah, because like we get some other conversation about like, oh wait, you know, okay, I don't see you talk much, and she's like, yeah, no, he was there before, like the whole time.
Yeah. Well, also she just calls Yoake Ryo with no honorifics.
Yeah, but just like, by straight first name.
Yeah, which is crazy. So like, if you don't know anything about Japanese, honorifics are super important. Like, even if you're friends with somebody, a lot of times, you'll say, like, san or kun or something like that. There'll be, like, an honorific. It's like, you know, if you say, like, Mr. Smith or something, you know. It's like, that's, like, the honor... Like, Mr. is, like, the honorific kind of deal. But it's taken a lot more seriously over there than here. Where even, like, to acquaintances, like, you don't even use their given name. Which for us is a first name. Them, it's their last name, but it's called a given name. They have a family and given name instead of first and last. You would use their family name until like you guys were close enough to be like, oh, well, I could call you like by your first name with an honorific, you know, and like it's pretty.
Yeah, like friends would be first name with an honorific. Like you'd be Mr. Seaweed.
Right. Exactly. And so like so the fact that she just so casually is able to do that, it's kind of like, oh, I see. That's why.
Yeah, especially because even the people she's like clearly close with, she still uses super formal speech.
Yeah, which like at the beginning, it like Kaizuki makes a comment like, "Wow, she really speaks very politely."
Yeah, and he actually also comments on the fact that she dropped the honorific and assumes it's probably just because that's what had said so.
Yep.
Because
as soon as
Oga, everyone calls him Oga-san.
Yep.
Or Oga-kun or whatever.
No. Everybody calls him Kazumi-san, but he said, "Call me Oga-kun," and she was like, "All right."
No.
Was it not?
Same idea, but it was different. Everyone calls him Oga, even though he's wanting to be called.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah. The way it's written on AniList has.
And then they're all like, "Nah, Oga's easier."
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, oh, it's just because he said so, and she's just listening.
That's right.
No, it was there the whole time.
Yeah.
And I would like to say, I'm going to, for the sake of the video viewers, but also for Seaweed here, these last two sets of notes were in all caps.
Oh, I see that, yeah.
Like, I went nuts.
That's awesome.
And in the middle, I made a dumb joke about Yoke and Hishiro sharing a moment, and I put a little "iwu" after it, followed by "I hate everything."
Oh, okay, at least you recognized it.
Sorry, no, I regret everything is what I wrote there.
Hey, at least you recognized it, you know? Oh, man.
No, I lost my mind.
Yeah.
Okay. So, realistically looking at time, we should go into final thoughts, but fuck it. You had a prediction at the beginning of this.
I did.
Before we started recording, Seaweed, in full confidence, said, I know your choice of best girl.
Yeah, that's true.
Which I'm glad you do, because I don't.
Okay.
It is very, very close between two characters.
All right.
I think I've determined who comes up on top.
Okay.
What's your background on this? What's your thinking?
Well,
give me the full.
All right.
essay.
Well, I did do a dissertation on this. I did over 100 hours of research and testing, and had multiple different studies done. But obviously you like white-haired characters, but there's no white-haired characters in this show. So that like makes things a little more difficult, But you tend to like the like kind of more standoffish. That's not the right word to put it.
I know exactly where this is going.
It's Hishiro.
It's Hishiro.
Yeah. Yes.
I did not know where this was going.
Yeah.
And that is...
There's a lot, like, because, like, with Origami from Date Alive is very much like Hishiro. There's a few others I can't remember right now. But that's who I would say is your favorite girl in this series.
Well, you've thrown a curveball. That is not where I thought your conversation was going.
That's why I said that was
and
the
I would
wrong
also
word.
I'd also like to... What was that?
I said that's why I said standoffish was the wrong word. Because that's more with Karyu.
So, I mentioned that it is a very, very close tie between two different. Like, I've determined the order, but it is close. You have chosen neither of them.
Really?
Yeah.
So you went out of the box on this one.
I really don't feel like I did. Because the way I thought you were going, I was like, oh shit, he called me out immediately. It's Karyu.
Yeah, well, Karyu was my second guess. I told you I had a second guess as well. Karyu was that second guess.
Oh, my bad.
No. You're totally fine. So, wait, are you tied with, like, An?
Actually, yes, because the character interactions between Kaizeki and An are so good.
All right.
When they're just, like, slipping off to the corner to gossip about Olga. It's amazing. I loved it.
You never like characters like her, though.
I do on occasion, because if you remember, in the Lost episode,
I don't even remember what
in
show
Koreazami Desu Ka, I mentioned in that, like, prior to having seen season 2, that my choice was, whatever the fuck her name was, the chainsaw girl. I don't remember. It's been, like, 2 months.
Yeah, I don't remember her name. It's been longer
Which,
than
again,
that,
was a bit of a break from... So I do swap over, like...
It's super rare.
If it's done correctly.
It's very rare, though. I figured it would be Hishiro because that's, like, your general type for best girl, right? And she was done so well.
So.
It is.
She was done well.
It is.
Like,
you do that type of character a lot, especially like when they break out of their shell in the show, which she does.
I suppose, and I can't really explain why Hishiro doesn't like jive with me as much as a lot of that kind of character.
Damn. Well, I guess I was wrong.
I'm gonna also guess that your pick is Hishiro. Am I correct?
Why?
I
want to know your reasoning here.
You know I don't have a good read on you, and that is an embarrassing thing to still admit. Because, like, I feel like I can't really draw... Wait, no, I'm an idiot. It wouldn't be Hishiro. It'd be On.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, hold on. I had just a no thoughts moment.
Yeah, like, this is an easy one. She is exactly the character type.
I realized... Pardon me while my brain fucking reboots.
Even when even when she like undoes her braids, her hair gets longer. What?
Can I give an honorable mention to Amatsu Sensei for being just amazing?
Oh, Sensei's great. Yeah, I love
like
her.
if she had more screen time, that's a very fair choice.
Yeah, no. She's
great.
She is fantastic. All right, well, is it time for final thoughts then?
Probably. I'd like you to go first.
Really? Okay. All right. That's fine. That's fine. I will go first. So there's a lot going on with this show, and there's a final 4 episode OVA which we didn't watch, and I still have not seen yet. But I really enjoyed it the first time I watched it, and I can't say if I liked it more than I initially did, because I don't exactly remember. I just remember having fond feelings towards this show for whatever reason, you know. It has a really good premise. It has really good like character drama, but offsets it with comedy enough so you're not just depressed the whole time, you know. And it's which helps make it really easy to just binge the whole thing. Because I almost did the whole show in one sitting, which I know you did. You were pretty close to that. And maybe not one sitting, but like for how you normally watch, you know.
Definitely compared to how I normally watch. I'll talk about that.
And yeah, I mean, like the characters are all fun, all very fleshed out, especially the main cast. The designs are good. The show looks pretty most of the time. And I mean, yeah, like I do like all of the darker like themes it delves into, and the more serious topics that aren't necessarily dark, but you know. Yeah, I mean, like having that adult perspective into a high schooler's life is really cool, I think. And I did initially watch this when I was their age, like I was a senior in high school, or I had just
when you were 27,
or I had just graduated. No. When I was like everybody else's age, I had like just graduated high school, and so like I was like just around that same age. So yeah, I mean initially. My initial rating for this show, I'll see if you're surprised, but it was a 9.
Okay.
And it has not changed from that. It has stayed where it is. Turns out I do really give the best recommendations, huh?
Fuck off.
But no.
I need to watch my language. I'm sorry, audience.
But in all seriousness, though, yeah, I mean it's a really fun watch and really does like, I mean, like I just like the whole story and everything. I'm gonna keep rambling if I continue talking. So it's your turn.
Yeah, I need to take over because we are. Oh boy, that timer.
Yeah.
So this show, I don't have that much to say that you didn't already say in your summary. So I'm going to build on it. Like, again, I didn't know what this was going into it. And after the first episode, I watched one episode yesterday. I was going to try to get, like, a couple in after work, but it was a very long, very stressful day for a sort of reason. So I watched one episode, wound up going to bed. And so I'm going into today with 12 episodes that I have to watch. That is a behemoth of an undertaking for me. Yeah. I like to schedule it so that I have at most 6 episodes to watch before recording. I woke up this morning, I turned on episode 2, and in one solid go went all the way through the end of episode 13. That's unheard of. I can't do that. I'd never do that.
Yeah.
Like, I bragged about how easy No Non Biori was to watch. I still took breaks in the middle of that. This, I just went boom, 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 all the way through.
Yeah.
I really like the way they tackled, deeper themes without losing the, like, atmosphere they'd already built. I like how they were able to use the humor without completely cheapening the darker aspects they touched on. This was a show with substance in the form of character drama, and I thrive off of that with a backplot of romance, which is, again, right up my alley.
Yeah.
The show was meaty enough for me to latch into, but still easy enough to watch that I'm just like, I wonder what they'll get up to next. I wonder how these characters are going to jive off each other. I want to know how these relationships are going to build up. I've called shows good before. Mm-hmm. It's not often that a show will, like, hook me that hard, and then I go back and I end it, and I'm like, wow, that was great. I've said multiple times on the show, like on a show that has like a season 2 on it or an OVA or something, I'll be like, yeah, I'll go back and I'll watch the next part, at some point. This show has OVAs and a season 2. I'm going to start watching it tomorrow. This show is getting a little bit of an honor here. It is officially my 5th 10 out of 10.
Whoa.
I loved this show, and I want to keep watching it.
Yeah. Awesome.
I don't have much more to say there. I think I kind of built up to the end there.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, dude. I'm glad I could give you a 10 out of 10.
I'm glad I could give you a 2 out of 10.
You got me a 1.
Sorry, 1. My bad. We've given both ends of the spectrum. That's equal, right?
Yeah. No, I mean I am glad that you really liked this show as well. I didn't expect you to like that much.
I'm glad you put it at a 9 because I'm just like, okay, good. He's not going to think I'm too out there with this one.
Yeah, no.
I was worried you're going to be like, oh, it's all right. It's like a 6. And I'd be like, 10 out of 10.
No. No, I think this show is fantastic. And yeah, no, I'm going to keep rambling. Yeah. Go watch it. Go watch ReLIFE. Go now.
Go watch it, and
it's very hard to find it. It's like only on iTunes and something else legally. You have to buy each episode. So,
dude,
you know where to find it, people. What?
It was on Crunchyroll. I watched it on Crunchyroll.
Oh, it was on Crunchyroll? Oh, hell yeah. There you go. Go to Crunchyroll. I didn't see
the only thing that wasn't available on Crunchyroll was the Russian dub.
Oh, darn.
Although I did try to watch the English dub because I'm like, okay, I've got 12 episodes to watch. That's way too much. I've got other things I need to do. Let's put on the English dub and do something else on the other screen. And then I'm like, wow, this is really bad. I'm not watching the English dub.
Yeah, no. I didn't realize it was on Crunchyroll. Well, there you go. You watch it on Crunchyroll.
Yeah, please watch it for yourself. And I'm gonna watch the rest of it and hope it's as good as the first part was.
Yeah, hopefully. Let me know because I will get around to it eventually. Like I say every time.
Because, like, honestly, I'm gonna be completely real. I wanted to ship Kazaki and On together so badly, but by the end of it, I had completely turned around and I'm like, no, Kazaki and Hishiro are lovely together. Just please stay.
Yeah.
Now I'm doing it. I'm gonna keep rambling. Let's move on.
All right. Well, we're gonna end this episode out, but before we do, we've got 2 things left to do. We've got our little shill corner, which I will do very quickly. And then we got our announcement for what's next week, which I don't remember what it is, so this will be new to me.
I do, because I picked it.
Yeah. So, if you're watching us on YouTube, go check us out on Anchor, where you can take us anywhere you want to go. If you're listening to us on Anchor or any other like podcast platform, go check us out on YouTube, where you can see our beautiful faces while we're talking. If you would like to support us, listening on Anchor will help. We get a small kickback from ads. But there is also on our Anchor page, or any other podcast platform. But on our Anchor page, there's a donate button. You donate money to us if you would like. And we will, if you do, you can just send us a screenshot on Twitter. Just DM one of us, and we will shout you out if you'd like. But you don't have to do that, obviously. Yeah, go follow both of us on Twitter. That's important. Wob normally does the updates for the show. I normally just...
And try to post on occasion, but mostly just updates.
I normally just repost Ultraman stuff. Retweet Ultraman, so, there's that. But, then go go subscribe to my YouTube channel, the Seaweed Ambassador, where I do make videos, I promise.
And dare I say it, one of those videos might be a group project with both of us in it.
That's true. Very well might be. So stick around for that. And yeah, I think that's the end of our shill segment. So what are we watching next week, Wob?
So next week, I should try to make this quick. I initially was going to choose a completely different show for this episode. But then I realized that given the nature of it, it's something that just aired. If not this past season, then the one before. I think the season before this. I think it was winter.
It was
fall.
Fall. I think it was fall. Yeah.
I think it was fall of 2020.
Yep.
I was like, wait, this just aired. I haven't seen it. Seaweed hasn't seen it. We have an episode option where we watch something that neither of us have seen. And last time we had one of those dual episodes, someone made me watch Ultraman.
You said it was okay.
I did, but that's pretty clearly your choice. So I don't feel too bad kind of taking the reins on this one.
It definitely
because this is a show, again, it aired in fall, and I was like, wow, that sounds really interesting. I'm going to watch it as it's coming out. And then naturally, I didn't.
Yeah.
So I'm putting it on the podcast because that way, by golly, that means I'm actually going to get around to watching it. I'm going to refer to it by its English title because it's easier for me to say. We're going to be watching Talentless Nana next week. I've seen it described, I think, by Gigic as My Hero Academia crossed with Among Us. It's the worst description ever.
Honestly, you've made me want to watch that show way less now from that description.
I know you hate Gigic for some reason.
I don't hate Gigic. I don't like Among Us jokes, though.
Neither do I. I just thought it was entertaining. But no, it's superhero school with the trader aspect, and I'm like, okay, this sounds really interesting. So that's what we're getting into. That's what we're getting into next week.
Yeah. So we'll see you then. Have a good week.